right, my good people, welcome to Street FM. Once again, my name is Tunmise, and as you all know, that is a culture for me on Street FM on one-on-one chat with Ajeigbe Tunmise. I always bring to you my special guest. But today, I have been joined by my uncle, my mentor, my everything. Is Oga Patapata for poetry. A man that can paint the whole world in the color of poetry. His name is Olufemi. Olufemi. Olatunji Olufemi. But we guys, we people now, our party, we do call him Folat. So, and now we want him to introduce himself to you guys, my subscribers. Everyone, take it up from here.
All right. Blessed be to you all. As I have just rightly said, my name is Olatunji S. Olufemi, popularly known as Folat. Everybody in the north, in the south, in the west, in the east, and every of the cardinal of this point, of every of the four cardinal, every of the cardinal of this world, everybody knows me as Folat. I'm being known and recognized, being identified as Folat. Even when the wind blows, it carries alongside my name in it. When the storm
Wow.
billows, when the storm billows, you always have my name in its roar.
Ah, wow. Such a poetic introduction. Hey. Well,
It's
how
my
did
pleasure being here with you
how
all.
did we get to know that you are fallout when there are over 7 billion individuals in the world? Kò tí ì yé mi o. Kò tí ì yé mi
Oh, my own,
but
my own, you know, my own Folat is different. Do you want
okay.
to know why?
Okay,
I am
I will like to know.
I am not a mystery.
Okay.
I am fire and water in a sea of furnace.
Hmm.
I am whispers of the wind. I am music of the deaf. I am sword of truth. I am a wordsmith. I am Folat, the poetry you have never read.
Wow. Wow. That's fantastic.
You
Wow,
can never
wow.
find any other Folat in this world as that. I can double assure you.
All right, my good people. In case you don't know, Olufemi S. Folat is a poet that Nigeria will never forget. For last year, from the very first day of last year to the very last day of last day, this my guest ventured into a 360 days of poetry, and it was quite very interesting. It got him several nominations of award itself. Even he attended so many events, and he spoke well about what gives him inspiration. But as for me on Street FM, me, I would like to know your source of inspiration. Some people do smoke, some people do read Bible, some people do, I don't know. So I would like to know what really gives you your own inspiration, because many times sef I will just be reading your book, I will be saying, is this human being or a semigon?
Okay, when it's my source of inspiration, I have a lot of ways by which I am being inspired. I'm a lover of serenity. I love to be in a place where the atmosphere is calm. I love to be in a place where silence domains, where silence reigns. I love to be amidst the warmth of trees. I love to find myself where I see the leaves fluttering either letter to scatter. I love to be in an environment where I can see different creatures, animals, where they are moving, where they are being calmed. All these things are an embodiment of inspiration to me. And also, I like to embark on travel. When I embark on travel like this, I see different places, I see different points of reminiscences. I see different centers of attractions that could easily inspire me to speak to my pen, to pick up my pen and have it bleeding unendingly. I can be moving around now and I see a statue. The statue is going to, I could just look at it that, okay, is this statue carrying anything in his hand? Okay, if it is carrying something in his hand, what could this mean? Anything that I could just come about in my in my vision, I am going to turn it into writing. I'm going to convert it into words. You just see my pen bleeding and bleeding.
So basically now it is your environment that tends to give you inspiration. Is the chemistry behind the
Yes,
goodness of your art of writing.
when I'm in crowded places, I'm often restricted. The flow of my inspiration is restricted to write. It is often always love to be in an environment that will be tranquil, in an environment that will be serene enough, in an environment that will be conducive. I can't work and I barely write in an environment that is too noisy. I barely write in such environments. I barely write in such environments. And another thing is that the power of my imagination. You see, when you just leave me to be in a place that is serene, in a place that is devoid of noise. Another thing is that apart from the place being devoid of noise, I'm also in a place where I cannot feel it. I can just have the feel of a good weather around me. Trust me, the news and the inspiration will never be far from me.
So there is no chemical substance that really gets you special inspiration or any natural product.
No,
Please come again, I
no.
can't hear you. Please come again, I can't hear you. Is there any natural product or chemical substance that really gives you potential that you believe that whenever I take this thing, I will write the heaven will turn to hell, hell will turn to heaven.
I'm in a next program. That's go north, north.
Please unmute your mic, sir. Please unmute your mic. Please unmute your mic, sir.
Sorry, but a call actually came in.
Ah,
A call came in, and that's what interrupted the session.
okay. What I'm saying basically is that, do you have any natural product or chemical substance that tend to give you special inspiration? That anytime you take this thing, the the heaven can turn to earth can turn to heaven when it comes to writing, art of writing rather. Is there anything of
No, the
such?
only thing, yes, you see, for the one that you are talking about, I actually have none. I actually have none. I know the eye on anything. There is no drug, there is no drink that
No,
I
me, I
would
did not
drink
talk
that
about that one.
would
No,
give me,
no. I'm even talking about Pepsi
okay.
and Coke or Coca-Cola or Fanta.
I can understand you. You know, I haven't also mentioned any particular drink. I was just telling you that there is no drink
You know,
that gets me high to ride.
natural products, we can start talking about palm wine now. You understand? Maybe palm wine is included, bro.
No, none of them is among. But there is one particular thing that inspires me to rise. That whenever it comes around like this, I get very high.
I would like to
I
know that
get
one.
very
No,
high.
I will put that one in my
Like
daughter.
I can be very high to any extent. There is nothing you want me to write at that time that I will not be able to write. And when it gets to this point, you can just when you start reading any poems that come out of me by then, you just be marveling that even I myself, I get to marvel when it gets to this point. I would write some of the poems finish and I will still go back and I will be like,
Egbon,
am I the one who have written?
I will like to know that thing. No,
You would like to know it?
I know the
Okay.
thing is special, but I would like to know the thing.
It's special. I need to tell you, I need to tell the whole world. And it is no other thing than Awele, the poetry you have never read.
You know, there was a time you wrote a poetry that a poem rather that I said, let me even remind you of some lines in the poetry. You said
Okay.
if maybe one day, is it not maybe one day? Yes now, maybe one day poetry will turn to a girl. So you start talking about Awele, someone, but I discovered that he's somehow satirical. But all this Awele, we think maybe is one lady that you are eyeing, because there is this one series of writing that you are into before something happened to your Facebook account. But I will not want us to discuss about that. Yeah, you understand?
Yes,
That
that's
that that
epistles
that
to
that one
Awele.
is personal.
20 poetic epistles to Awele.
So which number are
I
you
think that's
before
what you were
the
that's what you
obstruction
were
came?
hinging on.
What
What do you say?
what epistle the epistle are you when the catastrophe came up?
Okay, I was on epistle 15th. The 15th epistle.
So the remaining five now, what happened to it?
The remaining side, I had already finished the remaining side.
Published.
The remaining part of the yes, but they are yet to be published.
Oh, okay. All right, no, all
And to
right.
publish them, and not to publish them is a decision that can only be made by me,
No, yeah, all
by
right now.
myself.
No, me as an individual now, I have read a lot of your
Okay.
poems. I get to know you as a poet on a group chat. You understand? And after sometimes we establish
Yes,
connection.
I can always reminisce that
Yes,
moment.
yeah, we establish connection. But this Awele of a thing to me is like a satire, because I have asked you personally several times. Then you said we should just be like we should just wait that the thing is it a satire or it is one special girl that really, you know, of a recent now. The I don't know, there is one governor in the north that said the women should start giving breastfeed that meant for their infant to their spons. So it maybe is the one that is taking good care of you. That is taking good care of you. Let me give me a kind of picture of this Awele. What is he all about? Is he a human being or is just a satire?
Okay, Awele is a human being and as well not a human being. You see, for Awele to become a human being, it is not yet time that Awele will become a human being. And myself, I'm yet to see the human being of the Awele, but I know that very soon, someday, one particular year, in one particular month, on a particular day, everyone will gather around and they are going to see Awele. It is by then that this Awele that I've always talked about, that I had always been the muse behind my poetry, would grow into a human being, a full human being that people can actually see and not just ordinarily visualize in my poetry. And you see, for you to see the other part of the Awele that had not been a woman, let me shed light to that. Let me shed some light to that. Awele being someone that you all had always visualized in my poetry, but not someone you have always seen, is someone that I actually visualize in my imagination. I visualize in my imagination. And you know how this has always been a woman. It is a woman. It is a picture of a woman. It's a picture of a woman. I say Awele to be my own personal love. I say Awele to be my own personal love. So I see Awele as someone whom I want to communicate my feelings to, whom I want to exchange words with, whom I want to tell, okay, this is how I'm feeling around this time. Okay, as a woman, as someone that I love, this is how I would like to scribble my words on her. Do I want to scribble my words on her tongue? Do I want to scribble it on any part of her body? How do I want her to see that I'm truly a poet? And how do I want her to feel the magical touch of my poetry, the magical wonders of my poetry? How do I want her to feel it? This is when Awele actually came into a being. I had Awele, I had Awele as an imaginary character. I had Awele as an imaginary character. And let me tell you another secret about Awele. I've never said this to anyone before, but it's a grace and it's a privilege to be sharing this with you. When I was thinking about a particular character that could always inspire me, that could always be the source of inspiration, that anytime I just try to catch some glimpses as that very person, my pen will be quick to write. I had thought of a lot of Yoruba names. Amoke is there, Abike is there, Ashake is there, Arike is there, Atoke, Anike, and all these Yoruba panegyric names. I have them very much around me. But I was thinking that, okay, if I should pick any, I have Agbeke also. If I should pick any of these names, those that are bearing it, I have them very much on my status. And they also know that they know that I can identify those names with them. Now, I don't want to be something that people think it is peculiar to this very person. Then I had to come up with a name that is entirely different. It is very rare. It is not often that you see a Yoruba female girl or a Yoruba parent naming any of our female children that very name. When I was thinking about it, I thought about Awero. I saw Awero to be one of the characters some poets around there had been using. I now had my thoughts on this particular name, Awele. Oh, Awele. I've never seen anybody use Awele before and address Awele in a poem and in his or her poetry. And Awele is also a Yoruba panegyric, what we know as Oriki Oruko in Yoruba. Okay, when I now got that, I got inspired with that name. I got inspired with that name that, okay, Awele, definitely Awele would be the imaginary character that I will be communicating my poetry to. I'll be writing to her, expressing my love to her. I will just have Awele as my character, someone that is lying on my bed now, and I want to speak with her without even touching her body. How can I make my communication possible?
Oh,
How can I write in the eyes of I have feelings for that is my beloved without even speaking any words out of my mouth? All these things now emerge together. They formulate together and become one. And eventually, I now have what I have today as Awele, the poetry you have never read. Anytime I think about Awele, anytime I dream about Awele, anytime I mention Awele, I always get inspired. I always get triggered to write poetry. I always get moved to pen down. I always get mused to pen down my feelings and to then I think this is one of the things that makes me to be versatile at anything love poetry. Just name it. If you have anybody that is playing very hard with you, maybe in love, with the help of God, when the pen is being picked up and we try and put the words together, we string the words together. Before you know it, even if the person's heart had already become ice, it is going to melt into the cup of your love for him or her. I can double assure you.
All right, though,
And even
since
if
Awele
the
has
person
taken
if the
the
person's
main
heart
half of our minutes now on this section now, so I will still want us to buttress on that
okay.
Awele. Have you ever seen a situation whereby a well human being is trying to come into the place of that Awele? You know, you said this is imaginary, so maybe you've seen a situation whereby
Yes, yes.
how can I even put it? Don't worry,
Okay, okay.
I
I've
don't
seen a
want to
lot
go
of
erotica. I don't want to go erotica. But have you ever seen a person try to come into a place acting like Awele in a real sense to you? I would like to hear that.
as regards that, I've seen a lot of situations like that. To be frank with you, honestly, you see, amongst my followers on Facebook, on WhatsApp and Instagram, those especially the female counterparts, the female gender that have always read my works, my
Please don't
poetry
co-
works, especially
don't call them counterparts here. Oh. Don't just refer them as
okay,
gender too. Because when you say
yes, the female
counterpart,
gender.
it is another thing again.
I can understand. That's why I had
I,
to change the word immediately.
So I will not allow
I
all
had to
those
change the
feminists
gender.
to come and attack my channel, and I will not want my YouTube to block my channel.
I can understand. I can
So
understand you
please move
to
on,
Mr. Oluwatumishi.
move on, sir.
That's why yes, that's why I said gender. Okay, you see, the female gender, most of them that I had always had as my followers and as my audience on every of my social media handles, I have many of them who always crave to be in the position of Awele. Even as I'm on with you tonight, I still have some of them that are still on my list who have been trying to place some appointments with me that
Wow.
I need to let them in into the position of Awele, that they want to act the role of Awele in my poetry, and while I will be acting the role of Agbagade, as I made it as I made it resounding, as I made it resonating in my epistles to Awele, which I just published in July, which I started in July
Okay,
and
please.
published it to episode 15.
I will want us to just end our situation. Invariably, our LA is your
All
source of
right.
is your source of inspiration, and every poet too has things specifically that really give them inspiration.
Yes, Awele is
How do
a
you
big plus to my source of inspiration.
how do you react to criticism on some of your poem? So I know many writers we face criticism. Many people antagonize. Me too. I am also one, but I am not here to promote myself. I want to promote you. So I would like to know how the kind of mechanism you put into how you put into action in order to battle against criticism.
All right, thank you very much for this question. You see, when it comes to criticism, as a poet, as a writer, even as anything whatsoever that you are in this life, always bear it in mind that you would have critics. You would have people who are going to criticize whatever you are doing. No matter how beautiful your heart is, no matter how great, how excellent, how outstanding your heart might be, people are still going to find one reason or the other to criticize whatever you have done. And on the part of criticism, we have two major kinds of criticism. And one is destructive criticism, and the other is constructive criticism. In con, constructive criticism, rather, constructive criticism. This is one of the criticism I always get for most of my works. I barely get destructive ones, and I'm going to tell you my reactions to the destructive ones too. On the part of the constructive criticisms, I have people who always crave to read me anywhere they are being informed that I'm going to make a post for anything, or I'm going to publish anything online, or my presence is going to be made visible at any place. They always want to read me. And one thing I always appreciate them for is that they do not just criticize the good parts of my work, they always criticize the ones that they find to be deficient. The ones that they find to be deficient in one way or the other. I could remember a time that I anchored, I think the first time that I would come on here, that was via a live spoken word poetry performance, or should I say a spoken word poetry lecture. So then that was my first time. That was my first time doing such a thing. After the session, I had people who actually gave me accolades for how I performed. And after that, I had people who couldn't comment, and some of them who actually commented well on the post, but they came so that I could become better. I always appreciate these people. They came to my inbox and told me that for your presentation, these are the things that I have observed from my own perspective to be your flaws. You need to work on them. I think you are deficient at this part, at this so part. Then whenever I am being told of anything like this, I always take them into record. I write it down on paper, and I also write it down in my heart so that such thing will not repeat itself again. Because when someone is criticizing you and you have promised the person that you are going to change for the better, and you keep repeating the same thing keeps me becoming perpetual of you. One day, somehow, they might lose interest in you, particularly in your heart, except the die-hard ones. The die-hard ones may never lose interest in you. They may never lose interest in you. Even if people say they try to blackmail you in one way or the other, maybe for one thing they assume you have done or what you have not even done, they will never back out for you. That is on the part of constructive criticism. I always get reviews for my works, and it is through the heart. Let me emphasize this. It is through the heart of criticism, the art of critique, that we can grow as writers. For every writer listening to me this blessed evening, we should all bear it in mind that as writers, as poets, as everybody that finds himself or herself in any art or in anything that is worth doing at all, we should never ever try to avoid criticism, because it is in the process of criticism and critique that we are going to grow, that we are going to find ourselves, and we are going to become better in our hearts. Now, on the aspect of destructive criticism, I have gotten maybe one, two, or three destructive criticism on my heart, on my works. I've gotten some like that, which were not actually impressive. But one thing is that whenever anything of such happens, when they happen, especially the first time I did that, I felt very low of myself. I looked at myself and said, what I had been doing this way, I had just been doing a pie, or I had just been piling to nonsense. That this is just what I could regard to as garbage, that it does not have any value, it does not have any worth, until I retreated. What I mean by retreat is that I went back into my shell. I now evaluated myself. Okay, if this person could have been so mean like this, and on my work, he didn't see anything good coming out of it than to just critique it and to just criticize it destructively, then okay, maybe it could be true. It could be true on some things he had forgotten. Now let me look at it. If there are some elements of truth in what he had said, I will try and trace them out. Then once I get all those, then I will start working on all those flaws, all those things that I have seen the person commented on, I've seen the person criticized me badly for. Once I'm able to get all those things right, you see, these areas of flaws, they are now going to turn to my strength beautifully. And most especially in poetry. In poetry, we turn nonsense to beauty. Something that you may not find sense in it, we are going to convert it into beauty for you. And that is when I'm going to say, I have a beautiful nonsense. You may see it as nonsense, but when you read it, when you come at the piece, you are going to see that no, this is nothing but a beautiful nonsense, a beautiful piece of art.
Oh, I will borrow terminology, expensive shit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Sorry. I want to ask again. Last year,
Okay.
you engaged on 360 days of poetry.
365 days of poetry.
365 days of poetry. How far has it taken you, and how was it?
Okay. This is such a big question for me this night, and I need to unfold everything that I need to unfold on this particular question. Is that last year, as it stands to this very moment, last year was the most challengeable year for me in history up to this moment. I don't know of tomorrow, but to this very moment that I'm on with you, that I'm on here with you this blessed evening, that last year was the most challenging year for me. I did something that I never
Is it because
expected
of
of
COVID 19?
myself. It's not because of COVID-19. If you could trace my poetry to when it actually started, or that last year, I had started it long before COVID-19 even emanated at all. I had started my 365 days of poetry. It was during the course of my poetry that COVID-19 came to being. I think we had COVID-19 come to being during the period, I think between January and February. I think that was the period that COVID-19 actually came into full being. That last year. But my own, how I started my poetry was just lately, my 365 days poetry project that last year was around, uh, lately towards the end of the year. So it was a particular time in, I think maybe the penultimate week in the year 2019. I think maybe between the last 2 weeks or the penultimate and the penultimate week, the last 2 weeks and the last 2 to 3 weeks in the month of December 2019 was when I actually had that vision. I had that inspiration. It just flew over me. I can't say this was particular source that I got inspiration. I want you to do thing for year 2020. I want this to be your project. And long before year 2020, during year 2020, 2019 and some years before, I had never embarked on such a project before. Even 50 days of writing, which I could say the minimum, I had never embarked on such before in history. When that thing now came upon me that I would be writing poetry for not less than 365 days, and it is going to be consecutively. Each day a poem, each day a poem, a new poem. And every of the poem would be poems that I had never written before. I was like, would this thing be really possible? I've never tried this thing before. And even if I would try it, I should at least start from somewhere. Maybe I should start from 50 or from 100. But that spirit still convinced me that no, I need to start from that day one of January 2020 and finish on December 30. Last year was leap year, and finish the poetry on December 30th, 2020. I said, okay, if that's what I will be having as my project that year 2020, I will do it. And to emphasize this again, the project that I embarked upon in year 2020 was great, was a project that was even greater than I was. It was greater than I was, honestly speaking. I never saw myself. I just said, okay, I will try it. I will try it. Let me start. Let me see how things would went. I could remember that I was invited to anchor a lecture at an NGO then, January 2. When I was sharing it with poetry for complete 365 days, each day a poem for 365 days of poetry has actually taken me around the world. Since the day two of my 365 days of poetry, the Lord has been so wonderful, and poetry itself, it has been so amazing. Since that day two, I was opportune to lecture at an NGO program. And since then, I started making relationships. I started building relationships with people, potential and viable, constructive relationships that are everlasting, that are not only for the temporary moment, but they are of lifetime. And these are the relationships that are also productive. They have helped me a lot. Even things that money might not have achieved for me, these relationships have actually established them for me. And it might not have happened because of the project of 365 days of poetry. And another thing is that not only local recognition, I was able to have interstate recognition, I was able to have national recognition, I was able to have global recognition as well, as far as 365 days of poetry. Still a beginning. It is yet a beginning. Where poetry is taking us to, where poetry is taking Folat to, it is beyond that realm. Yes, it is beyond that realm. Believe in God.
All right, sir. Well, I would like to know your biggest win so far in your career. What is it that you feel that has made you to feel so like you are at the peak? Though we still believe we have a long way to go, but let us just know your biggest achievement so far.
Okay, my biggest achievement actually so far is the 365 days of poetry. Because in my lifetime, I had never seen myself as someone who was going to achieve such a great project as that. And I can always refer anybody to one statement that I made that last year. And the statement was that the 365 days of poetry that I was able to achieve as at last year, as 2020 stands, that project was greater than myself. It was greater than me because it was something that I had never tried before in this lifetime. I had never tried something of such before. And when you do something great, the result that is going to forthcome out of it are going to be great as well, are going to be extraordinary. And honestly, to this very moment, I always give thanks to God. I always give thanks to poetry for finding me. And I always give thanks to myself too for also finding poetry, because since that last year that I was able to successfully anchor 365 days of poetry. It was so tough, but we thank God. It had always been my greatest achievement so far. And even up to now, 365 days of poetry still stands as my greatest achievement, because it took much of me, it took much of my sacrifice, daily sacrifice. It took much of sleepless nights to achieve such a great task. I cannot even mention the number of things that the project actually took from me. But today is a story, and not just a story, but a story that is sweet on my tongues, on the tips of my tongues, on the rug of my tongues. A story that is marbled there, a story that I can say, I can recount, and joy can always fill my heart alongside.
All right. From the initial, I should have asked about your background, your educational background, because that is one of the main motive of this program. Please, in a nutshell, maybe in just 1 minute, can you really summarize yourself, profile yourself, rather?
Okay, I had my primary school education in Mabel Rivers Nursery and Primary School in my hometown, Ilora, Oyo State. And I finished my primary school education there in year 2006. And from there, I proceeded to um, Atom Baptist Comprehensive High School, Koso, Oyo. The school is in Koso in the Oyo town. I finished there in 2013, and after there, I proceeded into University of Ibadan. I finished from there in 2019, and I am proud to tell you that I finished from the, as I said the other time, I finished from the Department of Languages, but I finished. I actually bagged a degree in English Language and Literary Studies, University of Ibadan, 2018.
Apart from degree now, what should we be expecting? Any postgraduate course?
Yes, I have the intention of postgraduate course. Okay, I forgot to add one thing to it, because after my degree program, as usual, I had my NYC program too. I had my NYC program. I was posted to Ogun State. I was posted to Ogun State for my NYC program, and I precisely I finished my I had my service year exactly in Abeokuta, Ogun State. That's where I had my service year from year 20 July August 2019 to July 2020. So for my postgraduate, uh, I plans are being underway as regards that. So anytime from now, I'm going to opt in from my postgraduate too.
All right, sir. So this will be my last question tonight, because I know we've talked so much on many things. How were you? How can I even put it? Every writer, there will be no encouragement in when you venture into a business and the business is not turning into money. How are you turning your skills into money? How do you tend to monetize your writing art?
Okay, thank you very much. Right, poetry particularly being my own line of passion when it comes to writing. And as people have known me for poetry, they have always identified me with poetry. Honestly, my poetry skill had always been monetized. And if I want to be frank, the time that I started monetizing my poetry to satisfaction, to an extent of satisfaction, to a degree of satisfaction, was last year. Was last year. Was last year. That was when I saw more worth and more value in the content I was giving out. And I had to convince myself because when I started, I used to charge people for just ordinary recharge card money. You can send me 200 naira. People actually craved, they still crave to this moment. They still crave to this moment. They always want me to write for them. The that they have for my poetry makes them to always want, even without making any advert, making any publicity, that I write poetry, but through every of the work that I dish out, that I publish on every of my social media handles, they often get convinced that if I should be writing this on my own and be posting contents like this, definitely I could, if they get to pay me on any of the things that I write, I can produce pieces like that for them. They can use it to win the hearts of their lovers. And this is one of the things that I had always been doing, even to this moment. There are some, I have my poetry services in different forms. There are some that I have in audio forms, there are some that I have in video forms, and there are some that I have in written forms. It all depends on whichever service that you want from me when it comes to poetry. Even categorically.
I will want you to talk about Fondo because perhaps any of my subscribers may like to subscribe to your poetry. Oh, how can I even put it? What is it called? So they can tend
Okay, my
to opt out for
poetry,
your poetry. Oh, is that one? How can I even put it? That one you is it not eulogizing like the
poetry
way?
Andrew.
Yeah. So I will just like to know the kind of price you charge for people. And anyway, it's supposed to be personal. No, okay, no. Let us make it personal.
Yes,
I will
I
no.
can see.
No, let us try to make it personal. You know what?
All
Okay,
right.
so we are about to end the program now. Then I would just like to have your social media handle, your phone number, where people can reach out to you. So in case if anyone really wants you, if anyone wants you to come and do stuff like that for him or her, so he or she will know how to contact you.
All right. To me, question you asked before this time. Just one more thing.
All right, move on.
Am I am I permitted?
Of course, fully permitted, sir.
Okay. Yes. On that question, as regards the question you asked the other time, I now have a brand that has been in creation. The brand is actually created by myself and it is being coordinated by myself. And the brand is a subsidiary of Folat Print and Media, which everybody knows to be FPM. So basically, I get works from a subsidiary of the brand, which is known as FPM Surprises and Color. And in the brand, we have a variety of services. And among the services that we render in the brand are also poetry services. People often book for our poetry services, be it writing, be it audio, be it any audiovisual services of poetry that we render, or visual ones. They place order for it and we do it for their loved ones. Some people even invite us to their book launch to their writing academy to teach or to co-lecture with them in their writing academy or in whatever group it might be. All these things are ways by which I have been able to monetize my poetry skill.
Right,
So that's
sir.
just the addition I wanted to make.
I'd like to know where we can reach out to you. Then I would like my subscriber to know where they can get you whenever they want to find you.
Okay, for our subscribers, they can reach me out on the poetry you have never read on Instagram. The poetry you have never read. That's what they are going to type to search for me and to follow me on Instagram. They are not going to put any space. They are not going to put any punctuation in between that word, and it is going to be written all through in small letters. The poetry you have never read. That is for Instagram. For Facebook, they can add me up on Folat, TP uh, TPYHNR, TPYHNR. The TPYHNR being clipped to Folat when they search for the name is actually the abbreviation for the poetry you have never read. So they should just search for Folat, TPYHNR, the poetry you have never read. Folat, TPYHNR. That is my Facebook handle. They can get to add me up on that. And for my WhatsApp, if they want to communicate with me directly, they can just connect with me directly on WhatsApp via 081 34077820. I call that again, 081 34077820. I'm just a DM away. They can always place a call across to me and connect with me.
All right, sir. We have this is the end of the program, and I will want to have last word from you. Any form of advice, encouragement, anything you have to tell my viewers and your followers as well, as regard to the main point of this one-on-one chat with Olu and Tunmise. I would like to just have last words from you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. To all our viewers and to every of my followers out there, I want to tell you that there is no mountain in this life that a man cannot climb. Whether you are a female, whether you are a male, there is no mountain, no matter what height it is, that you cannot climb. And not just climb it, but climb it through and climb it over. It is only the mountain that you do not set your mind to that you cannot climb. What I'm trying to tell you in essence is that as a person, as a great person that you are, I want you to believe very much in yourself, because it is only today that we have seen. No matter how dull today might look to you, no matter how unencouraging today might look to you, no matter how sad the face of today might seem to you, I want you to know that tomorrow actually holds a lot of promises. There is going to be a rainbow that is going to a rainbow of beautiful colors that is going to fill your sky for you tomorrow. But it is only when you hang in, it is only when you do not give in to that call of depression, to that tingling feeling of depression, to that tingling feeling of self belittling, that you can actually achieve anything you dream of achieving in this life. I want you to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Nobody can believe in you as much as you can. It is only when you believe in your dreams that you can achieve them. Believe in your dreams so that you can always achieve them.
That is where taking, sir. Should we be expecting book from you before the end of this month?
before the end of this month.
So the end of this year rather, sorry. It's already Ember September now and it is Ember month.
Yes, you'll be expecting book from me before the end of this year. And if that is not, if however that if you can't get that from me, I can double assure you that next year, God's willing, by God's grace, you are going to have a book from me. Plans
Anthology,
have been
an anthology, a
the
storyline,
book.
or a fictional book.
Okay, for people have known me very much for poetry. So the plan I have, one of the plans I have on that way is that my first book that I'm going to publish is going to be an anthology of poetry. No matter how it might be, it is going to be an anthology of poetry. And the title and what content you are going to find in my anthology of poetry is what I am now giving to you all, our viewers and all my followers, all our listeners, as an assignment now. Go and watch out for what
That is
content
Awele,
the book is
Awele,
going to be.
Awele, Awele, Awele,
Well,
Awele, Awele 1 million times.
you have said your own. However, it may be Awele and it may never be Awele. That's why I will always remain the poetry you have never read. Until then, you would know if it is Awele that would be my first my first book to be published, or it will not be Awele. Let us wait and see until then. I would always remain my very humble self, Folat, the poetry you have never read.
All right, my good people, that is all for now. My name is Tunmise. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you follow my guest on his social media handle at the poetry you have never read. It's your boy Tunmise, and I really appreciate the time you give to us. I really appreciate the fact that we called you and you answered our call. Thank you so much, Uncle Folat. All right, sir.
It's
Goodbye.
my pleasure always. Thank you for having me to this blessed evening.